Thank you very much. So good afternoon, and well, my name is Sławomir Górniak. As said, I work at the EU Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, in the unit for market certification and standardization. It's a bit better now. So basically, the presentations from this morning and beginning of the afternoon made my life a bit easier, because basically the question of certification was already mentioned so many times that my presentation will be probably shorter than I expected. So because I will have to jump over certain things that were already said, but nevertheless. So this is a slide that actually, well, I wanted to introduce you with the current cybersecurity landscape, but also I've seen something very similar at the very first presentation this morning. So it's just to demonstrate that, well, basically we are within the area of eIDAS version 2, but we have a lot of other acts that are somehow surrounding all the cybersecurity landscape, and certainly eIDAS version 2 is part of it. So basically, this slide shows all the possible regulations and directives, so all that comes into the EU legal system talking about cybersecurity. So we have here, well, as mentioned, a lot of legal acts that also interact with eIDAS and with eIDAS version 2. This is, well, the changes that basically eIDAS version 2 brings towards, in comparison with eIDAS version 1. So the most notable, let's say, example is, of course, this introduction of digital identity wallets. But again, the content of this regulation was very well presented by Asa Barton in the morning from the Commission. So basically, I will not also spend a lot of time here. The important thing is, well, the Commission has asked the member states to develop so-called EU toolbox for the wallet and in general for eIDAS version 2 that would provide for a coordination approach towards the whole digital identity framework, something that did not exist in the first version of eIDAS. So here certification is mentioned very strongly. So basically there is a strong requirement for certification of the wallet itself and also for its privacy features that was covered in the previous panel. Well, the proposal also introduces new qualified trust services, which is not the object of this session, by the way. So when it comes to the wallet, to the framework of the wallet, I don't see very well here. So electronic, the wallet itself is an electronic means of identification, according to the proposal, that should be put at level high under eIDAS. Now, when we speak about certification and CSA, so Cybersecurity Act, that is one of the other pieces of legislation that I mentioned earlier, these high levels do not really correspond in eIDAS and in the Cybersecurity Act. That's one of the problems. Now, the Commission gave recommendations on member states to work on this toolbox that I mentioned, and basically this toolbox resulted in a creation of this architecture and reference framework that also Asa Barton described in the previous session. So also the proposal asked for a set of common standards and technical specifications that would surround the whole framework, and also set of common baseline guidelines for this framework to operate correctly. Now, there is a very strong push here in this proposal for certification. So the conformity of these wallets, also the conformity of its operational specifications and standards shall be certified. So according to standards, some standards have to be developed for this, and some. So basically, we don't have everything in place. It is deemed that, well, the introduction of certification for the wallets will make them trustful, secure, robust, but also that will bring harmonization and interoperability of the wallets by assuring that the processes, the usage of the wallet in various member states will be aligned among member states. So the EU-wide certification scheme for the wallet will bring harmonization and interoperability, as said. And the request here is to use as much as possible existing schemes developed under CSA. I will talk about it a little bit later, but well, for the moment, ENISA, so the agency where I work, is charged actually of developing draft certification schemes for cybersecurity, and we are working currently on 3 of them. So EUCC, which is the scheme, generic scheme for common criteria, EUCS, so this is the scheme for the services, cloud services, and EU5G that covers 5G things. And here, the pressure is, well, to reuse the parts of these schemes, but the main one that actually was asked for us to look at was the scheme on common criteria, at least in the first stage. So this scheme on so EUCC, that actually is not yet out either, so the scheme is not yet ready to be used, was not yet published. This scheme shall be complemented by some additional features, additional specifications, and additional protection profiles in order to be used with the wallet. So the architectural reference framework, as mentioned earlier, it was very well covered by Asa Barton in the morning. It's a set of well, architectural well, specifications how the wallet should look like. I will not read whatever is on the screen, but I will pass basically what is in scope of this ecosystem that is developed in the architectural in this architecture. This RF was published firstly in January or February, I think, under the version 1.0. Now in April, we have the version 1.1 a little bit updated. Basically, what is in scope of this architecture framework is the instance of the wallet itself and its connection with relying parties, with personal identity data providers, qualified EAAs providers, EAAs, and qualified certificates providers. So basically, this is what is covered in this framework. Now, the big news that comes is that ENISA has received a request to support the Commission on establishing a scheme on a certification scheme on the wallet. The scheme, I mean, the request itself is not really a request for the scheme itself, but it's a request for support to develop such a scheme, meaning that we have not been asked yet to produce a scheme itself because, well, the fact is that the full specifications of the wallet is not yet available. So the eIDAS version 2 is still under discussions. So actually there is a trialogue right now that is being conducted. So basically this is the European Council, European Parliament, and the Commission that are discussing together on their views how the regulation should look like. We are expecting that the Swedish presidency, that is now holding the presidency of the European Council, will manage to finalize the work until the end of their mandate, so until June. Let's see how it will be possible because, well, there might be obstacles, but, well, we are very positive that it will happen. And only then we will be really able to continue concrete work, first of all, on finalization of this framework on the toolbox. And secondly, on having concrete, well, not concrete idea, because idea we have already, but concrete data, like how the wallet will look like. So basically, so as said, the request asks us about indication, like which schemes that are already under elaboration could feed the work on certification of the wallet. So which parts of the existing schemes existing, so under elaboration, could be used then to provide a gap analysis and some proposals for solutions if no parts of the scheme exist, meaning that, well, if we cannot put the puzzles together coming from these various schemes, that they will not make a full scheme itself, like what has still to be done in order to have such a scheme, and then the analysis of the current state of play of market, and also what are the situation in the non-cybersecurity aspects of the wallet that actually the scheme should also talk about, because then the scheme will go a little bit beyond cybersecurity itself. So this is the basic drawing, let's say, of how the forms of the wallet should look like and security technologies. So basically the wallet could consist of a mobile application, of a web application, or of a desktop application. So these are basically like three main ideas that we have for the moment about the wallet. And from there we have security technologies. So, well, everything that is written here, I will not read it neither. Anyway, the thing is that we would like to, we would need, not like, but need to certify all of these components if you would like to be conform to the requirements from the eIDAS version 2. Now, when it comes to the components, concrete components, so we have here a plethora of things that we would need to certify. So the software, which includes operating system and software of the wallet itself, then all the interfaces that the wallet has with relying parties, even with the device on which they are located, so with the screen and so on. Primary hardware, so these computers or these mobile devices on which they are installed. Secure elements, so this is TPM or other cryptographic material. Secondary hardware, meaning that, for example, if you go to the cloud, this means the storage, the cloud storage, and so on, and various services. And actually, all these services should be also certified according to the proposal. So the question is now, like, how to do it and how not to go into exponential number of certifications, and how to group these entities in order to have a good and feasible certification scheme. Of course, as we know, the certification relies on standards, and ENISA last year analyzed in general analyzed the digital identity standards. So the situation in this area. We have this lack, let's say here, that digital identity is one of the areas that is the most well covered by standards in general. So we have standards coming from various organizations, various entities, and basically the set of these standards is piling up. This might be an advantage, but also a disadvantage, because it's sometimes difficult to choose which of these standards to use for concrete applications. But then what we discovered here is that despite having this plethora of standards, we still lack some standards that would be relevant to the wallets themselves. So that was also mentioned many times today, earlier during the day. So no standards for the cryptographic device interface, functional testing requirements missing, apart from some stuff, no standards fulfilling the wallet requirements in 100%. So there are already some efforts in the air. So there is the ISO IEC 23220 series that targets the personal identity data. ETSI, from the very beginning of the publication of the proposal of the eIDAS version 2, its committee TCESI, so Electronic Signatures and Infrastructure, started work on the wallet, not yet knowing actually what we are talking about exactly, because at the beginning, there were various ideas when it comes to the shape of the wallet, whether it has to be a purse with some stuff inside, not connected, or whether this should be like just set of attributes added to the wallet as an identification means, and so on. And then actually that's why this development of ARF that I spoke about a bit earlier took actually quite some time. So what also we noticed here that when it comes to the wallet, we have some stuff, as said, that could define the so-called what, but not really how. So for certification, we need two sets of standards, two sets of specifications. So what we certify and how do we do it. So basically, what is the requirements, security requirements, and how, of course, is the methodology. Like, for example, common criteria is the methodology. So what is, I think there's, okay. So basically this is, well, the proposal of coming back to certification now. This is the proposal how to go with the certification of the wallet under the CSA framework, so under the Cybersecurity Act framework. In the first stage, we would actually see it as a well, as a development of a transition scheme. As mentioned earlier, this scheme would consist mainly on well, we would use mainly the EUCC scheme, so the one that is on. I think that one of the slides. Voila, this is the one. I'm sorry, coming back to this one because I don't know how I skipped this slide. So I wanted just to update you a little bit with what we are doing right now at ENISA with these three schemes that could be reused for the wallet. So we have the EUCC scheme. So this is what I mentioned, this horizontal scheme for ICT products. And this scheme is ready. So basically, this only waits for the publication. We are waiting for the Commission to publish it, and we don't know yet what. The scheme is fully ready now after full reviews, after full approvals from the member states. We are just waiting for the publishing. The situation is a little bit more dynamic when it comes to EUCS, so the cybersecurity scheme on cloud services, because here we are still working on it, meaning that, well, there are, of course, in order for a scheme to pass, let's say, the first authorization, it has to pass through the member states' approval. And here there are definitely still some places where some consensus has to be found. And but we expect still to be able to send this draft scheme to the Commission in order for the Commission to validate it and to go further. And we expect that it will happen still this year. For the 5G scheme, we are still in the process of elaborating the scheme. So basically, you see this as-is transposition of existing schemes elements. So this is something that was done last year. We are still finalizing this step, and we start preparing for the development of this candidate scheme, which actually should see the day, well, if not at the end of this year, then at the beginning of next one. And sorry, I'm coming back to my slide that I already started explaining earlier. So here, our main idea for the beginning of the work on the scheme on the wallet is to use the EUCC scheme as the main one, and just adding to it some additional specifications related to the wallet itself. And for those elements that are not that would not be covered by the EUCC itself or by the additional requirements and protection profiles, we could use the ISO 17065. In the later stage, so once actually we would start working with this framework, we could start work on the concrete dedicated scheme under CSA for the wallet. But still, again, we are somehow in a position that, well, in the past, when the CSA cybersecurity certification schemes were invented, we were thinking that, well, it could take like 1 year, for example, to develop a scheme. We see now that it's definitely not possible. Maybe in the future, when we will have like simpler areas to cover, and if we will have let's say the basis, so these horizontal schemes that we are working on now, it will go faster, but for the moment it's definitely not possible to reach this initial target of 1 year. So that's it from my side. I mean, I think I left you with more questions than answers for this, but the thing is that, well, the main message that I had is basically how to avoid this abundance of various schemes that would be needed to fulfill the requirements of the certification of the wallet. And that's the main message of my talk. Thank you very much.